Hey everyone, this is People of Substance by Lemon Skies. I'm very excited to introduce my guest today, Amy Wills. So Amy is a marketer. She's not strictly speaking in nonprofit space, but she has so many insights to offer nonprofiteers. That's why she's here. I think you're one of the first. And I just want to say that the trick to doing these live streams, Amy, is to get our heads aligned so we're roughly the same size. So
I know that's I'm trying. We're close. We're almost there. I need to get back.
So can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Woof Social Marketing and what that's all about?
Yeah. So I'm Amy Wills. I am the co-founder and CEO of Woof Social, where we joke that we are like the anti-agency. We come in and work with small to mid-sized businesses across a variety of different industries, not nonprofit specific at all, but we help them with everything from their traditional marketing to social media, print, promo, all kinds of stuff. So do a little bit of everything.
And I've been meaning to ask you this for a while. How did Woof come about? The name.
So the name, okay, so it's not the most appropriate. But Kat and I, because Kat and I joined forces to start it. And it was right after we had a bit of a debacle of someone that said they didn't like the hashtag appropriate AF. Mm-hmm. And we're like, oh my gosh, you don't even know what it stands for. And so anyway, maybe part of Woof, leans into that a little bit. And so that's how it was born. One of those of, we like dogs, but this is also kind of like our little secret, like nod to, we'll do what we want. Yeah. So it was how we joke, we change it up from time to time. Like the other day we were joking and said that it stands for like, we're our only friends and things like that. So
that's not what I assumed it stands for.
I'll send you a message later so that like people don't start weeping and riot on your page.
On level of appropriateness. So I have many questions for you. And I kind of did this ABC, authenticity, brand, and content. It wasn't on purpose, but it sort of happened.
But that works out so well.
It really does. So I want to ask you about authenticity. And you're unapologetically yourself, which I love about you. But can we talk about authenticity? What does it actually mean?
So for me, I think it means showing up as yourself wherever you are. I think for some people, they're like, oh, I'm going to be so authentic on LinkedIn, but then they're a different kind of authentic in person. And then they're a different kind of authentic on Instagram. And so for me, I feel like authenticity is being who you are, wherever you are, so that no matter where someone meets you, they're meeting you.
Yes. Yes. When we talk about brands and brand sort of, there's different degrees. I mean, that feels to me like a very misunderstood concept, right? First of all, let's just level set. What is brand? And we know it's not logo.
As I say, it's not just your logo and it's not just your beautiful brand guidelines. Your brand is the impression that someone has of you before you ever even walk into a room. So it's the feeling that your product, service, tone makes them feel. That's your brand. So
it's like your vibe.
Yeah, it's your vibe. It's your marketing vibes.
So and I think maybe that does give a nod to authenticity that we mentioned before. How does brand define itself? Like you don't just walk in and craft the perfect brand. How does it connect to your values?
So it has to, that is where it comes in, as how authentic are you as your brand? Because it's everything. And so you're right. You can't just I'm going to build this and I want everyone to feel good and love it, because people see right through that and go, no, you've just got really good fonts and the rest of you's kind of crap. And so you just have to really dig into it. And this is what we want. This is what we believe in. This is, this is how we're viewing it from a consumer standpoint. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, what makes the biggest difference is it's not what you want people to think. It's we're at this level and this is what we want the perception to be. If that makes sense. It's kind of confusing.
It does. So how do you start that conversation? when somebody comes to you and they're known in the market in some way, how do you start that conversation?
No, and so this is something that we go through with everyone that we work with, and it's something that Kat talks about a lot, because for a lot of people we do work with, we get started and they go, okay, here's our guidelines and here's everything, and here's our tone, and you go, this doesn't match your goals at all, and it doesn't match your audience. Like, none of the people you're trying to reach talk like this. So how has this been going? And for a lot of them, it's usually not well, or they'll be super happy with the way their content looks because they're going, it does. The marketing director before nailed everything. The tone, the fonts, the colors, the visuals, it was beautiful, but we got 0 conversions. And you go, because no one's buying into it. So we do like to take it from whenever we start with people, we don't want to see any of their stuff. We go through it as if we're blind. Like, we don't know anything about your brand. We go through their website like we're trying to find help. We go through their contact stuff. We go through it as a consumer so that we can be like, this is the feeling you're giving off. Let's now work in reverse to fix that. So
yeah. So it's almost like there's science to it, obviously, but it's also an art.
Right. Yeah. Which is so cool because my background was in science. So I'm like, there is some science and madness to it. But also we do have the art side where you do have to be creative and be able to pair these things. So it's pretty cool.
I do have a question for you about that, not to meander off topic, but how does one go from chemistry, which is what you studied, I've been snooping, to marketing?
So unraveling, absolute midlife crisis is how it happened. No, so I'd been in healthcare. I had my degree in chemistry. I worked in healthcare for 14 years, for a very long time. And I was working with the March Times on some stuff just as a volunteer. Let's do some things. And so they needed help. They were like, we need somebody to help with marketing stuff. We don't have a budget for it. So I got tasked with it and I loved it so much. And so it was one of those of, I was pregnant with my second and thought, I think I could do this full time. My husband was going, when you say you think you could do this, what do you mean? I was like, I think I'm going to quit health. I think I'm going to quit where I'm at and just dive in. And so it was a crazy leap of faith that just kind of worked out. So went back, got all the stuff in marketing, and wish I'd done it sooner. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it was awesome.
No, I love that story. And, nonprofit sector, obviously, we have people coming from all sorts of backgrounds. I mean, anthropology majors tends to be a popular one. Because until recently, there was no nonprofit field of study. It was really kind of people that strayed away from comms, marketing, any different sides of things. So,
right. Well, I think it's so cool that people that find themselves in nonprofit work from a, not a bad situation, but life put me here. It was never on the radar. With the March of Dimes, doing stuff with them was because I had HELP syndrome, and then we lived in the NICU. And so you go, of course it's easy to market for this because I see the value of everything they do. So I always think that sort of stuff's really cool.
And it's a very personal connection. Well,
yeah.
We've been talking about companies and their brands, but this whole personal brand, I mean, I think it entered our vernacular fairly recently. Probably Kim Kardashian has contributed to that.
Yes.
And the rest of the sisters. How does personal brand differ from a corporate brand, and how does one establish it, and what can go wrong? And, I have a lot of questions on that.
Yeah, no. So this is my favorite part of marketing, is this difference in personal branding and corporate branding, business branding. Because some people, they'll jump in and go, I manage my own stuff. I can promote myself so well. I bet I can be a marketer. I'm going to jump in and do it. And then it scares them to death because they go, I have no idea what I'm doing, because they're so different. You have to have a business brand for your business. That's amazing. You can have your tone. You can have your, here's how we want the public to perceive us and feel about us. But personal brands are so important. And, encouraging employees to be those internal influencers, because they're still going to be the mouthpiece of your business. Your brand is your business is your business. Your people are your backbone. So encouraging them to stand up and have a personality in a life and show, I do all of these things, but this is where I spend my 8 to 5 or whatever amount of time, I think is super important. So it's just really cool too, whenever people nail it and do it really well.
So I guess one question I have for you, as people change companies and kind of change professionally, obviously who you are does not change every time your employment changes, right?
Right.
So how do you kind of retain that relevancy to the work you're doing and still retain who you are?
So and it's something that does bother me whenever you see those people that they do let their work become their entire personality. And you go, I love that you love it that much, but what if you wake up tomorrow and it's not there? You've lost an entire pillar of your personality. So don't do that. I think that your personal brand, you should enjoy what you do for work. You should have a zest for it. But also, we tell people on LinkedIn, don't post just about your business. Showcase stuff about you. No one wants to talk to somebody that only talks about work all the time or only talks about one subject. So that's kind of how your personal brand should be too. You're a dynamic, multi-interest person. So be that way. Love your work, but have other parts of you that bleed through as well. And so I think that's super important. Whenever there's businesses that are letting people explore building their personal brands, because you shouldn't want people to only post about your business. You should want them to showcase themselves, because that just showcases that you're really great at hiring good people. We found these people and here's what they have in common is working for us. But beyond that, they're involved in the community. They're hardworking parents, whatever the case may be, that draws back to your values and your ethics as a business.
Yeah. Yeah, there needs to be alignment, obviously. So
yeah, and so if you're forcing that alignment, it's just not as great. People will see through it.
To go back to that authentic.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wanted to shift gears, Amy, to content, and you're very prolific, and I would describe you as sparkly. Is that a good word?
Yes. Yeah. I'm putting that in my headline as soon as we're done today.
Sparkly.
Sparkly.
So what makes content compelling and engaging?
Making it relatable. And I think that's the biggest draw. Everything, I tell people all the time whenever they're struggling, they're like, I don't know what our business content should be. I don't know what my personal content should be. I'm like, what makes you stop your scroll? It certainly isn't things where you're like, today I hired someone from the street. You don't really stop. You're not stopping to read that. So it's whenever you can showcase your interests in a way that people can see that you're excited about it.
Yeah. No, the relatability, I kind of love that.
Yeah.
So how do you not run out of ideas? And going back to that being prolific, you and I actually connected originally just through content. And then we've got to know each other as humans in a much more three-dimensional conversational way. So how do you not run out of ideas? Do you wake up in the morning and ideas just come to you?
No, I wish they did. No, but I do feel like and I know I do this, I try to just showcase things of the day where I'm like, because I'm just kind of weird. And so sometimes we're like, this is a fun idea, or this is something that sparked joy for me. And so trying to share things like that. And so a lot of times it's nothing that would fall under the, LinkedIn appropriate tag, I suppose, of this is super professional and buttoned up. It's very rarely that, but it is, here's my life in a few little squares.
Hey everyone, and we're back on People of Substance by Lemon Skies Part 2. We had a very dramatic ending to the last one as my power went out. So Amy graciously agreed to sit down with me and wrap up our conversation. So we'll just pick up right where we left.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we didn't attempt to dress alike. It's a different day, so it's fine. It is fine. So we talked last time we met, just to refresh your memory from 24 hours ago. We talked about authenticity. We talked about brand. We talked about content. A lot of what you do, and you do marketing much broader. Social media is a piece of it, but you do it much broader. But to dive in on the social piece of it, what are you seeing as social media trends? What's in, what's out? What should we be paying attention to?
So what's in, and I feel like it's always in though, which sounds terrible, but video is, of course, it's good everywhere right now. Like LinkedIn is favoring video. But it's cool because now on Instagram and TikTok, it's less of the, super produced videos almost. And it's just just make a video, just show us what you're doing. And it doesn't have to be fancy and filtered and overdone. So I love that. What's out? Hashtags, which is wild. Several times this week, I've had people bring up the hashtags are dead now, which makes me a little sad because sometimes I like them, but.
So they're just irrelevant.
Yeah, I think it's because so many people got carried away with them. Because, there was, for a while, they used 30 hashtags, which I don't know how anybody ever did that or why they would want to. And so, yeah, I think they just burn themselves out on them. So no hashtags, do lots of video. And just be you. Which I feel like people say forever. They've always said that, just do that. But then you still have the platforms of like Instagram where it's so curated and I don't know, just very cookie cutter-ish. You go, stop doing that.
Have you seen all the publications about how Instagram impacted teen girls in particular?
Yes, which I can totally see that too, because just everything's so heavily filtered on Instagram. It's insane. I couldn't imagine being a teenager with Instagram right now because it's hard enough. Like I would imagine going to school and seeing the people that, you're in the comparison trap and you can tell kids not to do it, but they're going to, it's just part of it. But then to leave school and you're still in it would be just terrible. So
that's probably impacting also our beauty standards because you can't live up to a filter, can you?
No, not at all. And it's so funny too, because I love the accounts that, these grown women that are now taking video, like the pictures that celebrities will do. And they're like, this is the reality of it. They're sucking in, they've got the filter, they've airbrushed and nipped and tucked. This is what this swimsuit looks like on a real body. Things like that. I love them.
Yeah. So we're right back where we started, authenticity.
Yes, exactly. That's where you go. Quit taking the scenic route. Just be a normal human.
Just be yourself. Just be yourself. Well, we talked a lot about marketing. We talked a lot about branding, all of those types of topics. But I wanted to ask you on a personal level, what are some issues in your community? What are some causes, organizations that you care about, you're involved with outside of the workplace?
Yeah. So I am on the board for our local child advocacy center and have always been involved with them. My husband was actually a child abuse investigator for the state police for so long before we had kids. And so we were always super active with that because just some of the stories that you wouldn't believe the things they see and hear every day. So, we do that nonstop of let's donate backpacks. Let's make sure that there's snacks up there, all kinds of stuff. So that's what's near and dear. And then also, like NICUs, I was on the board for the NICU that we were in Little Rock for a while. And then still here in Jonesboro, we have a NICU at our local hospital now. So just trying to contribute in any way we can, even if it's something where, we're swamped, we may not be able to drop lunch off, but here we can share a post about needs, just little things like that make a big difference.
It's the little things. And if everybody did just a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. And I think and that's something that we talk about at the CAC a lot because, they always have a needs list. I'm like, it's not, you can do things that aren't on this list. You don't have to donate $1,000. You don't have to come up here and spend a full day. They appreciate that. And that's amazing. I was like, but also just telling people like, hey, go follow this page. I was like, it makes a difference. And so I think people miss that sometimes of, oh, I can do this little thing and it does make a big impact.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Amy, it's been wonderful to have you on. Is there anything else, any words of wisdom that you want to leave people with? And I'm just so grateful for you joining me not once, but twice. So thank you for that. It's like a series.
I was gonna say maybe it should be a series where we just jump on all the time.
But we
No, it's been great. Let's see. Let's just say be yourself one more time. Don't focus on authenticity, because then it's not really authentic if you're focusing on it. So just be.
If it's planned, right.
Yeah. It does crack me up, the people that are like, authenticity is key. Like, plan your content so you're super authentic. I'm like, can't really plan it. Just do it. Just be you.
You just made me feel better about my own lack of planning. So thank you for that.
Yeah. So it works. Flying by the seat of our pants. It's fine.
Well, thank you for being here. And I appreciate you being on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.